Today we're doing section 2.2. It's all about angle bisectors. There you go. Vocabulary term is exactly what we're talking about today. Angle bisector. So write this down. Now, for segment bisector that we talked about yesterday, it could be a bunch of different things. It could be just a point. It could be a ray. It could be a line. It could be a segment. It could be a plane. That's not the case for angle bisectors. Only rays work for angle bisectors, okay? So a ray that divides an angle into two congruent angles. So draw that angle right below, and then we'll go ahead and bisect it. So you just draw a ray coming right out the middle. And the way we show that angles are congruent is similar to what we do with segments. You just mark them in the same way. So if they both have that same marking on them, you know they're congruent. Or if they both had like two arc marks, you'd know they were congruent. Sometimes they're just labeled like 40 degrees, 40 degrees. You know they're congruent. All right, so go ahead and write number 1. And then just draw the angle. We'll label everything else that the picture says, or that the little paragraph says. We'll label it right in the diagram. So I'll just give you a second to draw that angle, and then we'll answer all those questions. All right, so the directions say that ray NQ bisects angle MNP, and the measure of angle MNP is 74 degrees. So the way you can show that in a diagram is to do one of those. And then label that little mark 74 degrees. That's how you show that the whole angle is 74, because it's MNP. The whole thing is 74. They want us to find the measure of MNQ and the measure of PNQ. So I'll write those off to the side. The measure of angle MNQ equals the measure of angle PNQ equals. All right, so if the whole thing is 74 degrees and I cut it into 2 equal parts, how big would each of those need to be? If the whole thing is 74 degrees and I cut it into 2 equal parts by bisecting the angle, how big would each of those smaller angles need to be? If you're not sure, at least tell me what operation we would do. Divide it by what? 2. Okay, so if you can't do that in your head, that's fine. Grab a calculator or do a little old school long division. So 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 gives me a 6. 7 minus 6 gives me a 1 and a 4. 2 goes into 14 7 times and no remainder. Okay? So each of the smaller angles created by the bisector would be 37 degrees big. All right, 37 degrees. What types of angles are those? Acute. Good.
So just like how we split that segment in half yesterday, we're splitting the angle in half. Okay?
Right down the middle.
Always grab the whole thing and you make a piece of it.
All right, any questions? And the Y is easy. Why is it acute? Because it's less than what?
90.
90, good. So you can put that too. Less than 90 degrees. Very simple reason on that one. That looks like angle 90. That's a less than symbol. I know. Math symbols also similar. Any questions on example 1? So you don't need to write any of this, but let's draw it together. So I have this ray, AB, that bisects angle FAH. So let's draw an angle FAH. So FAH. You're drawing it with me. Then I have ray AB that bisects it. So I'm going to start at the A and I'm going to go out through point B. I'm also told that BAF is 38 degrees. Now I want to know the measure of angle HAB, HAB, and the measure of angle FAH. Okay, so HAB, any ideas? 38. Yeah, this angle was bisected, so the two smaller angles are congruent. If you want to label them in the same way on your diagram to show that they're congruent, that might be nice. All right, next question says the measure of angle FAH, or the next part of that question. FAH is the whole thing. So if I have 38 and 38 and I want to put them together to make one big angle, what am I going to do? Add. Good. So that's 1676. Pretty close to the last example, but a few degrees off. And then angle FAH is what type of angle? Still acute. And we'll just say because it's less than 90. Any questions? So go ahead and draw the diagram and then see if you can find the measure of angle WUV and then the measure of angle WUT. And we'll give you a couple minutes just to check that out. All right, does anyone think they know the measure of angle WUV? WUV is 40 degrees. How do you know that? Yeah, this angle was bisected, so this guy is congruent to this guy. If TUV is 40 degrees, WUV is also 40 degrees, and now I'm looking for the measure of WUT. 80, so the whole thing, 40 plus 40, or you could do 40 times 2 and get 80. Questions? You can. You don't need to draw these angles. What I want you to do instead is write the equation with me. So number 4 says that ray GA bisects angle FGH. Find the value of X. So if this ray is a bisector of that angle, what do I know about the two smaller angles? They're congruent, and congruent means what? They're equal. So I'm going to write 3x equals 45. This is the part I want you doing with me. All right, what next? Divide both sides by 3. What does x equal? 15. Good. Now, if you put 15 degrees, that's fine. You don't really need it because see how it says degrees over here? But either way would be fine. All right, real quick, see if you can write the equation for part B on your own. Ready, set, go. Write the equation for part B in your notes right now. Ready, set, go. Doesn't it sound more exciting when I give the countdown?
No.
3, 2, 1, go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. On your mark. Get set. All right, what was your equation? X plus 20 equals 60. Perfect. Same setup. Ray GA is a bisector of the big angle, angle FGH. Bisect means two congruent parts. Congruent means equal. Set them equal. Solve for the X. What do you get for X? 40. Good. You just subtract 20, subtract 20. What are your questions? What did we learn today? Today we learned angle bisectors. That's correct. Do you guys have any questions?
No.
Okay, sample test questions. Again, a lot of you are really struggling with the vocab.
Wildlife.
Study that vocab every day. Angle bisector, matching with the definition, will definitely be on your quiz and test, okay? So that's a sample test question from this section. The other type of question you would see is where we give you an angle bisector and we give you one of the smaller angles and you find the other smaller one in the whole thing, or when we give you the whole thing and you have to find the two smaller ones. So that's sort of the ways these would be presented on a quiz or a test. So keep that in mind as you're going through your homework tonight. Questions before we start going over homework?